April 25 in Portugal is a celebration of freedom because it marks the end of the dictatorship and the beginning of democracy. And I think it's very important to celebrate freedom, especially nowadays when human rights and the woman rights and the worker rights continue to be fundamental issues around the world. And as a female photographer, I also feel it is important to support and celebrate women artists and the women photographers around the world because historically, women's work has often been invisible and undervalued.
Welcome to Get the Picture podcast. I'm your host, Brad Sigal. I'm here today with Larissa Ribeiro, a photographer here in Porto in Portugal. Larissa has a new exhibition here that opened last weekend and is also showing this weekend. So I'm thankful, Larissa, that you made the time to talk about your exhibition on Get the Picture. Welcome, Larissa.
Hello, Brad. Nice to meet you, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here and talk about my life and my work a little bit with you. Thank you.
So let's start with who you are and where you're from.
Okay, so I'm Larissa Ribeiro, originally from Brazil, from a small city called Araguari in the state of Minas Gerais. And I'm currently living in Porto, Portugal now, because I'm doing my PhD in architecture. So I'm an architect, photographer, architectural researcher, and also a very curious person too.
So how did you start with photography and how did you learn?
Photography feels very familiar to me because I grew up surrounded by photographs. I have an uncle who are photographer in my hometown. So since childhood, I've always seen cameras, photographs, and people taking pictures around me. So my first contact with and learning about photography was through my uncle and good father. It's true. I started taking photographies with a Kodak analog camera many years ago when I was adolescent. And later, during my architecture degree in Brazil, I used a camera from the university for some projects. When I started my master's degree, I bought my first digital camera and began photographing architecture more seriously. And architecture photography was my first strong connection with photography. The architecture course shapes my perspective. The designs and the classes, the professors. So later, when I started traveling to other countries, I bought a Canon entry-level camera and a new lens. Especially I wide angle lens because I love photographing architecture and urban space. And this is my baby, my best friend, I think, my Canon. And over time, I also become passionate about travel photography, and street photography. Currently, my main photography interests are architecture, my first, and after travel photography and street photography because I love spontaneous moments.
Yeah, I've seen your street photography on Instagram and it's very good, in my
Thank you.
opinion.
Thank you so much.
So you have your first solo photography exhibition that started on May 29th and goes until July 29th here in Porto, Cartographias de Liberdade, or in English, Cartographies of Freedom. So first, congratulations on your first solo exhibition. And what is the topic or the theme of the exhibition?
Thank you. And yes, I opened my first solo exhibition in Porto, called Cartographies de Liberdade, Cartographies of Freedom in English, of course. And the exhibition is connected to ideas of freedom, collective memory, public space, and political demonstrations, especially the celebrations of the 25th of April in Portugal, in Porto specifically, and International Women's Day. So these themes are very connected to my personal and political beliefs. For the last 4 years, I've been photographing demonstrations and building a visual archive around these themes, these moments. I think is very special for me.
How did the exhibition happen?
I have a friend who is also a photographer too, and he is part of a cultural and theatrical association in Avintense, Vila de Gaia, near Porto. The name is Grupo Mérito, Dramático, Avintense. And this association wanted to open space for other artistic expressions, including photography exhibitions. Because of that, my friend invited me to present my work there. And it meant a lot to me because he really believed in my work and in me as an artist, you know. I'm so happy because this.
Yeah, that's amazing having your first solo exhibition and that you had people who were willing to take that risk for somebody who never had an exhibition before. So that's great. Was it difficult for you to decide which photos to include? Like, how did you decide? For me, I take a lot of photos when I take photos at a protest. How did you decide which ones to include?
Okay, yes. It was very difficult because I have a hood archive about this theme. I take a lot of photos too, every moment. So, but in the end, I tried to choose the images that best represent my artist's gaze in the atmosphere of my work. And the exhibition includes 21 photographs, but I could easily create many other selections from this archive. And I'm very interested in how photography transforms reality. When we look at the scene in real life, that is on the reality. But when the camera captures the moment, it creates another reality. Then, when people look at the photographies on an exhibition, each person interprets the images differently according to their own memories, emotions, and experience. I think it's very subjective gaze.
So why why should people come see it? What's your reason that you would encourage people to come see the exhibition?
I think people may identify with the photographers in different ways because the images include people, political symbols, and the moments connected to freedom and collective memory. I think these themes uh, is very important for a lot of people. And of course, the exhibition also reflects my subjective gaze as a photographer. Uh, each photography has a story behind it, connected to my personal experience and to the moment when I captured the image. And during the start of the exhibition, I'm very interested in talking with visitors during this exhibition because I believe photography creates dialogue. Now, my photography and you're interested in my work creates this dialogue too, okay? And different people will feel and interpret it different things when they see the work.
So uh, here in Porto and in most cities, there are a lot of protests in the streets. Why are April 25th and International Women's Day, March 8th, important to you? Like, why did you do photos at those specific demonstrations?
Uh, April 25 in Portugal is a celebration of freedom because it marks the end of the dictatorship and the beginning of democracy. And I think it's very important to celebrate freedom, especially nowadays when human rights and the woman rights and the worker rights continue to be fundamental issues around the world, you know? And as a female photographer, I also feel it is important to support and celebrate women artists and the women photographers around the world because historically, women's work has often been invisible and undervalued. Yeah. And about my exhibition, just a reminder, and invited a lot of people. My exhibition is currently on display at the Grupo Mérito Dramático Avintense, located at Rua 14 de Mayo, Street 14 of May, number 65 e número 65, Avintes, Vila Nova de Gaia, until July 29. And the exhibition is open on Fridays from 9 p.m. to midnight and Saturdays from 3 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah, we're recording this on Saturday, and I'm going to try to go today to see it. I have
Okay,
not seen it
nice,
yet.
very nice.
So you were also part of another exhibition with many photographers about women and work. Can you tell us about that exhibition and your photos that were in it?
Okay. I'm also participated in the exhibition Women in the Work, and the exhibition is part of the Porto Femme International Film Festival. The theme is very broad and important because it includes many different forms of women's work, both visible and invisible. No, my selected photography was taken in Alexandria, Egypt, during sunset. I saw a mother and her child watching the sunset in front of me, and I immediately felt it was the perfect moment to capture the image because I love silhouettes and the backlights with the sunset. And
Yeah.
this photography reflects my interest in atmosphere, emotion, and everyday moments. And I think was a good photography to include this exhibition because they take care the moment in your mom and her child, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So you also posted on social media recently about another exhibition here in Porto of the photography of Vivian Maier. Can you talk about why her work inspires you?
About Vivian Maier, yes. I love Vivian Maier. I admire a lot Vivian Maier. She was a photographer who remained largely invisible during her lifetime, and she's worked as a nanny, take care of children. But during her free time, she walked through the streets with her camera, photographing everyday life. So, what fascinates me most about her work is her ability to capture simple moments, ordinary people, children, and the urban life with great sensitivity. I also love her self portraits because
Yes.
inspired me a lot. They felt very genuine, honest, and personal. As a street photographer, Vivian Maier is one of my main references.
Mm.
Her work shows how photography can reveal beauty and meaning in everyday moments that many people might overlook. And I believe her photographs have inspired generations of photographers who came after her, especially those interested in street photography and visual storytelling. I also find her story inspiring because her work was only fully recognized after her death.
Yeah.
Today, she is considered one of the most important figures in street photography, and I think she deserves a lot of the recognition her extraordinary work has received.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned before, a lot of women's work is invisible, and this is a perfect example. Her whole life, nobody knew she was taking pictures, and now everyone
Yeah.
sees she was a brilliant photographer. Are, are there
Yes.
other are there other photographers that inspire you?
Wow. Yes. uh, I'm deeply inspired by classic photographers, of course, such as Henri Cartier-Bresson and Van Gogh, because of the way they work with the shadow and the light. I love Van Gogh. I'm also admire Martine Frank, another women photographer. I'm particularly interested in the way she's photographed women, everyday life too, and social realities with great sensitivity and respect. Her work shows how photography can be both documentary and deeply human at the same time. I also admire the Brazilian photographer Sebastião Salgado. Wow.
I was going to ask if you liked Sebastião Salgado. Yay,
Yes,
he's one of my
because
favorites.
his photographies create a strong connection between people, territory, labor, and nature too. He spent time with communities in order to understand their lives, customs, and realities before photographing them. So I think it's very, very nice way. And I'm also very connected to the work of another Brazilian photographer, Geraldo Vieira. Uh, was the death and the photographer I researched during my master's degree,
Mhm.
especially his photographs of the construction of Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, and was a pioneer in to study this particular archive about Brasilia. And I'm very happy to because this opportunity. And in this way of about photography of architecture, I also admire Peter Scheyer, Marcel Gauthieron, and Mario Fontanelli for the visual documentations of Brazilian too and modern Brazilian architecture, because I'm fascinated to modern Brazilian architecture. And another two, Julius Schumann and Lucien Hervé too, about architecture. And for finish this question, should also mention Antônio Meneres, the Portuguese architect and photographer, who is the subject of my PhD research now. Studying his photographic archive has deeply influenced the way I think about photography, architecture, memory, and cultural identity. His photographs show a remarkable sensitivity to people, landscapes, vernacular architecture, and everyday life. Through his work, I learned that photography can be both a documentary record and a form of cultural interpretation.
Thank you for sharing all of those photographers. I'll have to list them in the show notes so people can follow up and learn more about them.
Thank you. It's good to share with people my photographers that might inspire me. Yeah.
Mm. Is there anything else you'd like to mention? And also, if you can say where people can find your photography online.
Um, I think you talked about many important things today. I hope people enjoy listen to your conversation and the photographs that inspire me. And if anyone would like to know more about my work, they can contact me on Instagram at larissa.ribeiro.photography. And for now, Instagram is the main place where I share my photography. But I think in future, I would also like to create a website in bringing together my photographies, research, archives, architecture, and artistic journey.
That sounds great. So everybody who listened, go look at Larissa's photography. And Larissa, thank you so much for joining me today for this interview to talk about your new exhibition and so many other topics. For people listening, if you're in Portugal, go see the exhibition. And for everyone else, check out Larissa's work online and support her work. And please take a moment as well to subscribe to Get the Picture podcast on YouTube or wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And also subscribe on Patreon. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Bert. Thank you.